Hi, so I just wanted to post a quick little video. Bear with me because I don't ever talk into a camera and it feels really awkward and uncomfortable for me. But May is Lupus Awareness Month. A lot of people have no idea what that is, along with a lot of other autoimmune diseases. And I was like, well, maybe I should just make something so people have some little bit more awareness of it. I've had a lot of people over the past couple weeks with what I've been dealing with ask me, what's going on? What is lupus? I don't know anything about this at all. So I felt like, despite not liking to talk on camera or anything, I was like, I should, do my part and kind of inform people on my experience and what has happened to me. And it's not fun to start. But a few weeks ago, well, I guess we'll go back. I was diagnosed with lupus like 3 years ago. And it was right after I had my son. So my son was born, and then about 8 weeks later, I started having symptoms of barely being able to walk up the stairs, extreme joint pain. My fingers were super swollen and like around my knuckle areas. It was just awful. Just constant pain and discomfort. Kind of all over body ache, like feeling like you have the flu, but you don't. And I went to tons of doctors and like general practitioners, and they were like, no, we don't really know what's going on. You're probably just picking your baby up too much, and you just had a baby, so you're really weak. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. So finally, after advocating for myself forever, which unfortunately in these types of situations, it is something you have to do and something that you shouldn't have to do. And it makes me really upset that that's kind of how a lot of things go. And even my recent situation, I've kind of had to do the same thing. And you know your body, you know when something's wrong. You shouldn't have somebody else telling you, like, no, it's probably fine. Like, go with your gut feeling, is what I learned with all of that stuff. So I finally was able to see a specialist, a rheumatologist. The first one I had, she didn't really care. She kind of was just like, she put me through all of the testing. I did tons of blood testing, and the panel actually came back saying that I had lupus, which a lot of the times this doesn't happen for people. A lot of the times it's really hard to diagnose, but all of my markers were hitting what would be indicative of having lupus. So I am lucky that it showed that's what it was, and I could start getting treatment, because at this point I had gone about 6 months without being treated, and that just is horrible for you. Milo. It's because it just gets more and more and more aggressive, and it can become very life-threatening if you don't get the treatment that you need. Like a lot of other autoimmune diseases. I actually thought I had fibromyalgia before getting diagnosed with lupus because the symptoms were really similar, and that happens with a lot of autoimmune diseases. They can mimic other things. So she put me on medication. I'm really, really stubborn, and I did not like the meds that I was on. They made me feel terrible, and I was just stubborn. I was like, I'm just not gonna take them like I should, which is a horrible idea that you should never do. And so I really wasn't getting any better, like not much progress. And then fast forward, I finally got into a rheumatologist who basically like whipped my ass into shape. He was like, you have to do this. This is life-threatening if you do not take these steps. And I'm so glad that I finally was around him telling me like how serious this illness can be. It's normally not fatal, but it can be, and it can affect every single part of your body, essentially. For me, it's been joints, like all over body pain, swelling, obviously, like at the joint sites. I have like little kind of calcium like deposit sites on some of my joints and in my head and in my feet. And recently, so that was kind of all the symptoms I had before, and they were starting to get under control. And then recently, it's moved to what we're thinking is more of a neurological direction, and that's really, really terrifying to me. Like, I mean, the whole thing is terrifying, but that in and of itself is really terrifying to me because I hate not having control over things. I'm like a control freak, and just not being able to control what's going on with your body, feeling super shaky all the time. I was having like tremor episodes, and this has been going on for about 3 weeks now. When it first happened, I was driving home from work on a Friday. This would have been like 3 weeks ago today, and it just, my whole, like my feet and my arms started going numb, like tingling sensations. And when I got home, I thought I just had, like, low blood sugar, because that happens, and you feel lightheaded. It basically felt like the same symptoms. So I, like, laid down, and it just spiraled out of control, and I just felt like I was gonna pass out, like, and I just started having, like, full body, like, tremors. So it's kind of clear now that it's moving more in a neurological direction, and I've been seeing a neurologist. I couldn't get into a neurologist until last week, and I've been seeing a neurologist now. That's what he's thinking, and we have to do more testing next week to kind of see how this is going to play out and what kind of treatment plan I'll have to be on. But part of me wanting to talk about this and be open about it is because it's so important to, number one, advocate for yourself if you feel weird about anything. Number two, a lot of these diseases are super unknown. A lot of the treatments are unknown. So it's super, super important. Like, if you're feeling like you ever want to donate to something, look up diseases like this that are really not super common to be researched. And they just don't have the backing, like things like, you know, obviously like breast cancer and other cancers, which is also super important to be, you know, raising money for. But it's just opened my eyes a lot to things that I didn't know. I've crammed my head with information because I'm the kind of person that, like, once something happens like this, I research every single thing about it. So I could put a bunch of, like, boring facts in here, but I'm not going to. If you want to know more about it, you can obviously Google it. I will say that 90% of the people that are affected by lupus are women. So go figure. We're lucky. And it's something that I feel like everybody should kind of educate themselves on a little bit, in not even just this one, but other diseases. And I feel like we get so caught up, like, in ourselves and our daily lives and things going on that we don't, you're crazy, that we don't always, like, stop and think about how important life really is and how precious it is. And I'm guilty of that sometimes too, but going through all this stuff that's been super horrible, like, I pretty much have not been able to get out of bed until this week. And it's just, it puts everything in perspective, and you realize how important it is to take care of yourself. If you feel like something's going on, go to a doctor. I mean, it's not, like, time is limited, and it's no quality of life to be just stuck in a bed forever. So I kind of just wanted to talk about that, and if anybody cares, I've had quite a few people, DM me and just ask me, like, hey, what is that? What's going on? So I just thought I would let people know. It's basically just, you know, your body attacks its own healthy joints, tissues, organs, can affect, obviously, your brain, like your central nervous system, everything. And it's just, the scariest part about it is it's so unpredictable. You don't know how you're going to feel day to day. And I think that is what I hate the most. I hate all of it, but getting through pain is okay. Getting through, like, these episodes is okay. Like, you just kind of learn to accept that this is, like, your new normal, and this is what's going to happen to you. But just the unpredictability of it is really hard for me, because, like, having a 3-year-old son, I want to be able to do things with him. I want to be able to be the best parent that I can possibly be, and I think that's what fills me with the most guilt, is not being able to be as present as I would like to. And it's just, it sucks, frankly. But also another point of this is that anybody can have these diseases and look totally normal. I look like a totally normal person. You would never really know that there's anything wrong with me. Like, on a good day, I look like every other person. So it's just also really important too to realize, like, people have a lot of this stuff going on underneath the surface, and everything can look super nice on the outside, and they can be struggling with a lot of these things on the inside, along with, like, you know, mental illnesses. And I think May was Mental Health Awareness Month as well, and that kind of goes hand in hand with this too. So sorry if this is boring, but I just wanted to get that off my chest, and wanted, if anybody wanted to be more informed about it, I just wanted to let you know kind of what it is, what happens, and yeah, pretty much all I got.